Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in and let it drift out like mist over still water. Let the noise of the present soften and fade. Tonight, we are traveling far beyond the borders of memory, back 3 billion years, to an earth that has only just begun to find its rhythm. It is the same world beneath your feet, yet almost nothing about it is familiar. The first thing you would notice is the light. The sun, only a young star then, glows weakly in the distance, about 70% as bright as the one you know. Its rays struggle through a thick blanket of gases: carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, sulfur. The sky above is not blue but a deep copper, heavy with haze. Through it the dim sunlight turns the world a burnt orange, a constant sunrise that never quite brightens. All around, the air trembles with heat. The ground beneath is alive with fire. Everywhere volcanoes hiss and roar, painting the horizon with rivers of lava. Fresh rock forms and cracks again in the same breath. Steam coils upward from fissures mixing with the gas clouds overhead. It smells of sulfur and wet stone, sharp, metallic, and strange. There is no grass underfoot, no soil, no trees. The continents of modern Earth do not yet exist. Only chains of dark volcanic islands and half-formed crust rising above a global ocean. When rain falls, it is thick and warm, carrying dust and acid from the sky. Each droplet hisses as it meets the cooling rock, carving tiny paths that glimmer like veins. These newborn streams are the first sculptors of the land, shaping valleys that will one day cradle rivers and forests. Listen closely. In the distance, thunder murmurs without pause. Lightning dances from cloud to cloud, flashing violet behind the haze. The young atmosphere is electric, restless, full of potential. Every strike that splits the sky for an instant stitches new molecules together in the air and sea. Amino acids, sugars, the alphabet of life. The planet is a vast chemistry experiment, rewriting itself with every spark. Now step toward the shoreline. Before you stretches an endless sea, dark as obsidian, glinting where sunlight catches it. Waves break against black stone and hiss into steam. If you could taste the water, it would be bitter, heavy with iron, nickel, and salt. The ocean is not yet blue, it is greenish-gray, a mirror of minerals and metal. Beneath the surface, the world changes again. There are no fish, no coral reefs, not even plants swaying in currents. Yet it is far from empty. Drifting within these waters are the earliest forms of life. Single cells so small that 1,000 could dance on the tip of a needle. They float, divide, and drift again, living off the energy of the earth itself. Deep in the ocean floor, cracks in the crust exhale clouds of shimmering heat. Hydrothermal vents glow faintly in the dark, surrounded by colonies of microbes that feed on sulfur and iron. They have no need for sunlight, the planet's inner warmth sustains them. Their world is one of darkness, pressure, and endurance. Yet here, life has found its first refuge. Back on the surface, the waves roll endlessly against the land. Each tide carries dissolved metals into the sea and draws new minerals out again. The rhythm of water and rock, of eruption and rain, begins to set the planet's heartbeat. For the first time, Earth has cycles, simple, repeating, dependable. The day's heat, the night's calm, the rise and fall of tides. Tiny patterns forming a foundation for all future life. If you could watch this world from space, you would see a planet wrapped in gold and green. The haze of methane blurs its edges, giving it a soft halo. The oceans gleam like tarnished metal. Flashes of lightning trace along the equator. And here and there, the red glow of volcanoes pulses through the mist. A heartbeat of magma under a newborn skin. Close your eyes again and listen. Do you hear it? The slow sigh of steam, the echo of waves, the breath of a living planet. Earth is not peaceful, but it is purposeful. Every eruption, every storm, every chemical reaction is part of its preparation. It is learning how to host life, experimenting, failing, and beginning again. Somewhere, in a quiet tidal pool, a thin film of microbes clings to the surface of a rock. When the light hits them just right, they shimmer faintly blue-green. These are cyanobacteria, tiny ancient engineers that will one day fill the world with oxygen. But now their breath vanishes instantly, swallowed by iron and stone. They do not know it yet, but their quiet work will change everything: the color of the sky, the shape of continents, the story of life itself. For now, though, the planet slumbers in its youth. The oceans rock gently. The mountains smoke, and the air glows like copper glass. Nothing hurries. Time stretches, patient and wide. One day will last millions of our years, and yet the planet keeps moving forward, molecule by molecule. Heartbeat by heartbeat, take another breath. Feel the weight of this ancient world settle around you, warm, heavy, full of promise. You are standing on the edge of beginnings. There is no future here, not yet. Only potential, waiting quietly beneath the haze. Earth is young, but its story has already begun. Sleep now, traveler in time. Let the thunder become your lullaby, and the sound of distant waves your heartbeat. When you wake again, the world will have aged another billion years. Its skies a little clearer, its oceans a little bluer, its life a little stronger. Close your eyes and imagine a softer sun. Not the fierce golden star that blazes above us now, but a dimmer, gentler light. A young star still finding its strength. 3 billion years ago, the sun was only about 70% as bright as today. It was the same star, the same fusion engine, yet its fires burned cooler, its warmth weaker. Astronomers call this the faint young sun paradox, a mystery that asks if the sun was dimmer, why wasn't the earth frozen solid? The answer lies not in the sky, but in the air. Back then, Earth's atmosphere was thick and strange. A heavy veil of carbon dioxide, methane, and ammonia swirling above endless seas. It trapped heat like a cosmic blanket, holding the warmth close to the surface. Each molecule of gas shimmered faintly in sunlight, scattering the rays into a soft, copper glow. If you stood on the shore of this ancient planet, the daylight would feel like dusk. The horizon glowed amber, the clouds stained red and gold. The air smelled metallic, sulfur, salt, and smoke. It was humid and warm. The light diffused like it is just before sunset. A gentle but eerie glow, endless and dreamlike. The sun hung lower in the sky, its light filtered through the thick haze. It rose each day in a slow swell of orange and sank again behind volcanic silhouettes. No bright blue noon, no crisp white clouds. Just a dim, constant radiance that gave the planet a perpetual twilight. And yet, beneath that dim light, the planet thrived. Volcanoes still erupted, oceans still shimmered, and life, small, unseen, was beginning to spread. It was a paradox that should have left Earth frozen, but instead it became warm and alive. The chemistry of the air saved the world. Imagine the heat rising from molten plains. Sulfur vents hissed in the distance, each puff adding gases to the growing atmosphere. Methane, exhaled by ancient microbes, wrapped the planet in a greenhouse of its own making. The combination of volcanic breath and biological gas balanced the faint sun perfectly. Nature's first great act of climate control. Above, the sky was alive with motion. Clouds rolled thick and slow, painted in strange colors, gold, bronze, sometimes purple. Every so often, lightning streaked from cloud to cloud, flashing violet in the haze. Each strike split molecules apart, forging new chemical bonds in the air. These sparks carried energy, perhaps the same kind that once ignited the first building blocks of life. At dawn, when the sun's edge peeked over the horizon, the light scattered through the methane and carbon haze, painting the world in surreal shades of orange and crimson. The seas caught the color, turning deep rust and copper. The reflection shimmered on the waves like fire under glass. It was not the soft blue planet we know. It was a glowing ember, a world lit from within. And though the light was dim, it was enough. In the shallow waters, cyanobacteria soaked up every photon they could find. To them, the weak sun was still powerful, a source of energy that fueled the chemistry of life. Each morning, as the light touched the water's surface, they awoke and began their quiet labor, turning sunlight into sugar, exhaling oxygen that vanished into the hungry air. They did not know they were changing everything. Now breathe slowly. Feel the rhythm of this ancient world. The day is shorter than ours, only about 18 hours long. The planet spins faster, its heartbeat is quicker. Tides surge stronger under a closer moon, pulling and pushing the seas with energy that stirs the atmosphere. Each rotation, each tidal motion, helps to mix gases, spreading warmth across the globe. Night falls quickly. The copper glow fades into darkness, and stars emerge, brighter and closer than we see them now. The Milky Way glimmers as a river of light through the thin gaps in the haze. Comets sometimes cross the sky, icy wanderers that strike the earth and melt, feeding the oceans with water and carbon compounds. Even in its youth, the universe was generous. There is peace here, even amid the storms. The constant rumble of volcanoes, the hiss of steam, the distant crash of waves, all blend into a low, steady hum. It is the sound of a planet alive but not yet aware. The air is thick enough to carry each vibration for miles, turning thunder into a soft, continuous heartbeat. This was the Earth under a faint young sun, warm not by luck, but by design. The chemistry of carbon and methane, of hydrogen and oxygen, became nature's first thermostat. It taught the planet how to regulate itself, to keep the delicate balance between fire and ice. Too much warmth, and the oceans would boil away. Too little, and they would freeze. But somehow, in the middle of chaos, Earth stayed calm enough for life to persist. The sun above was weaker, but the world below was stronger. And as billions of years passed, the star grew brighter. The balance shifted. Methane would one day become scarce, oxygen would rise, and the greenhouse blanket would thin. The planet would cool, sometimes too much, plunging into great ice ages. But those moments are still far ahead. For now Earth spins slowly under its copper skies, warmed by its own breath. Each sunrise brings a new opportunity for life to bloom in its hidden corners. Each sunset leaves behind another layer of minerals and memory in the oceans. The faint young sun watches it all, patient, steady, unaware that its gentle light is helping to create the first chapters of a living world. Take one more slow breath. Feel the warmth of that dim light on your skin, filtered through golden haze. Hear the distant hiss of steam and the soft crash of ancient waves. This was the beginning of balance, the quiet cooperation between sunlight, gas, and ocean that made our world possible. Sleep now, and let the faint young sun keep watch above the horizon of your dreams, its soft glow illuminating the ancient sea of time. Take a slow breath in, and release it gently. The light of the faint young sun glows through a copper sky, and below it the world rumbles. The Earth of 3 billion years ago is alive, not with forests or animals, but with fire. Every horizon burns, every mountain sighs with smoke. This is a world still in the making. Imagine standing on its surface. Beneath your feet, the ground feels warm, alive. You can feel the heartbeat of the planet pulsing through the crust. It trembles softly, like something breathing in its sleep. All around you, volcanoes rise like titans. Some stretch so high they pierce the clouds, their peaks hidden in mist. Others form in the oceans, hissing as molten rock meets the waves. Every eruption releases rivers of lava that flow across the land in slow, glowing ribbons. At night, the horizon flickers red, and the stars vanish behind drifting plumes of ash. The air is thick with steam and gas. Carbon dioxide, methane, sulfur, and water vapor mix together in a heavy haze. The smell is sharp, metallic, almost electric. If you breathe it, it burns your throat, yet this same air keeps the world alive, trapping the sun's faint heat so the oceans stay warm. The rain that falls from these skies is no ordinary rain. It carries acid, ash, and minerals drawn from volcanic clouds. Each drop strikes the black stone and hisses, carving pale streaks where it falls. Over time, this endless cycle of eruption and rainfall breaks the rocks into fragments, turning molten mountains into the first primitive sediments. The birth of soil begins with destruction. Now picture the rivers that run through this fiery landscape. They glow faintly in the twilight, filled with dissolved iron and sulfur. When they reach the sea, they stain it green and gold, feeding the microbes that wait below the surface. Each river is a lifeline, a bridge between fire and water. It carries the memory of volcanoes into the deep. Far beneath the ocean, the story continues. The seafloor is torn apart by cracks, ridges where magma rises in glowing curtains, cooling as it meets the icy depths. From these fissures pour black clouds of mineral, rich water, superheated and full of life's raw ingredients. They are called hydrothermal vents, and around them the earliest known ecosystems thrive. Imagine the scene towers of mineral chimneys, each glowing faintly with inner heat, clouds of shimmering water drifting upward, and in the shadows, mats of microbes feeding on the chemistry of the earth. They take in hydrogen and sulfur instead of sunlight, building energy from reactions that would poison most modern life. Yet here it is enough. It is home. Even in this violent world, life has found a niche. It hides in cracks, clings to stones, floats through the water. Each cell divides slowly, sometimes taking hours, sometimes days. But with every division, the planet changes a little more. Above the waves, lightning forks through the clouds. Thunder rolls like the roar of mountains collapsing. Every flash ignites new reactions in the air, molecules splitting and reforming, creating amino acids, simple sugars, tiny seeds of the chemistry that sustains life. The sky itself is a laboratory, forging the ingredients of existence one bolt at a time. As the storms fade, the heat lingers. Steam rises from the ground in thick white columns, curling around the volcanoes like ghostly serpents. When the sun sets, these plumes glow faintly red, illuminated by the lava beneath. The planet seems to breathe fire, yet even amid this chaos there are moments of peace. Between eruptions, the air stills. Rain falls gently. Ponds collect in the hollows of cooling rock. Their surface is smooth and reflective. For a few precious hours the world rests. The water warms, minerals dissolve, and the chemistry of life stirs quietly in the silence. If you could listen closely, you might hear the soft bubbling of those pools, the faint whisper of gases escaping from the Earth's crust. It is the sound of a planet learning how to live. Now, lift your gaze to the horizon. See the line where fire meets water, where the lava rivers touch the sea. When molten rock meets the waves, it hisses and bursts, throwing steam and sparks into the air. Each explosion creates new land, fresh islands rising from the deep. The world is building itself piece by piece, destroying and creating at the same time. Over millions of years, these islands will drift and collide, forming the earliest fragments of continents. But tonight, they glow like embers scattered across a dark ocean. Take another slow breath. Feel the heat of this world, the pulse of magma deep below. This is not a hostile planet. It is a young one alive with possibility. Its fury is creation, its fire, a forge for the future. In this age of steam and stone, Earth is writing the foundation of everything that will come. Each eruption enriches the oceans with metals and minerals. Each storm shapes the sky. Each moment of heat gives way to moments of rest, and within that rhythm, life begins to endure. The world of fire and steam is not meant to last forever. The planet will cool, the skies will clear, and the oceans will bloom with light. But for now, the flames still dance across the horizon, and the air still shimmers with heat. You can almost hear the planet dreaming, a deep, slow exhale through vents and volcanoes, a lullaby of stone and smoke. Breathe with it, in and out. Feel the warmth fade, the rumble quiet. The fires of early Earth are burning low, and in the darkness, the first whispers of stability begin to form. Sleep now, and let the young planet's heartbeat steady your own. When we wake again, we will descend beneath the surface, into the ancient seas, to meet the life that learned to thrive in the dark. Take a deep breath and imagine the sound of waves in the distance. Soft, rhythmic, ancient. The air is heavy and warm, still tinged with the scent of sulfur from the volcanoes. But now, the fire has quieted. The world's heartbeat moves beneath the surface, in water. 3 billion years ago, almost the entire planet was ocean. There were no forests, no continents covered in green. Only scattered volcanic islands rose above the surface like stepping stones across an endless sea. The land was dark, bare, and new. But below the waves, a miracle was unfolding. These oceans were not blue like ours. They were green-gray, dense with dissolved metals, iron, nickel, magnesium. When sunlight touched them, the reflection shimmered like tarnished bronze. The smell of salt was mixed with something sharp and metallic, a reminder that these waters were still being born from the planet's raw chemistry. If you could float upon their surface, you'd feel warmth radiating upward. The greenhouse air trapped the sun's heat, keeping the oceans warm and alive even beneath the faint young sun. Each wave carried the memory of the volcanic rains, minerals washed down from the black mountains and into the deep. Dive now slowly, beneath the surface. Let the light fade from gold to green, from green to black. The upper waters are hazy with drifting particles, dust, ash, and minerals carried from the land. The deeper you go, the darker it becomes. But it is not empty here. Life has found a way. The first cells, tiny single beings, drift quietly through the water. They have no eyes, no lungs, no sound. Yet they sense their world through chemistry, following gradients of heat and minerals, moving toward what sustains them. Each one divides and multiplies, a small act repeated billions of times until life fills the sea like invisible dust. Far below, where the seafloor cracks open, the world glows. Hydrothermal vents release streams of shimmering black water, superheated and rich with metals and gases. It looks like smoke rising from a chimney, but these plumes are full of life's ingredients. Microbes cling to the sides of the vents, drawing energy not from sunlight, but from the reactions between water and rock. They feed on hydrogen, sulfur, and iron, turning the heat of the earth itself into nourishment. This is a world of shadow and chemistry. No color, no light, but a thriving ecosystem built in darkness. Each vent is a small city of microbes, a living colony that pulses with energy and growth. The ocean may look lifeless from above, but down here, it glows with invisible motion. As you rise again toward the surface, faint streaks of light return. In the shallow seas near volcanic shores, another form of life has begun to bloom. Cyanobacteria, tiny blue-green cells, spread across the rocks, forming thin, sticky films. As they grow layer upon layer, they build mounds known as stromatolites, living fossils that still exist in quiet corners of the modern world. Each morning when the dim sun rises, these bacteria begin their ancient work, turning sunlight into energy and releasing oxygen as a byproduct. To us, that oxygen means life, but to the world of 3 billion years ago, it is a toxin. The oceans are filled with metals that greedily absorb it, locking it away as rust that falls to the seafloor. And so for now, the air remains suffocating and strange, while the cyanobacteria continue their quiet labor beneath the waves. Picture it, an endless sea of green-gray water, glimmering under a copper sky. The surface ripples softly, each wave carrying invisible passengers, billions of tiny cells drifting in slow, graceful motion. Every drop holds a story of survival, of molecules learning to cooperate, of chemistry becoming life. At the edges of volcanic islands, waves crash against black cliffs, sending plumes of steam into the air. The rain that falls returns these minerals to the sea again. A perfect cycle, repeating endlessly. This balance, between fire and water, between eruption and rain, has created the conditions for life to endure. Now imagine the night. The faint young sun sinks below the horizon, and the world darkens to deep amber and green. Stars shimmer faintly through the methane haze. The sea glows with soft bioluminescence, the light of chemical reactions flickering in the shallows. It is a quiet world, but not a dead one. It hums with hidden rhythm, the sound of tides and the heartbeat of hydrothermal vents. Time moves slowly here. A single tide is as old as mountains. A single sunrise lasts 1,000 generations of microbes. But time is on their side. Each day the cyanobacteria multiply. Each night the vents release more minerals into the water. And somewhere, deep in the cycle of chemistry, the world is preparing for its next transformation. For millions of years, the oceans will remain like this, green, metallic, alive but dim. They are the lungs of the planet, breathing in carbon, exhaling oxygen that vanishes into the rock. It is a patient process, one that will take hundreds of millions of years to reach a tipping point. But eventually, the rusting of the seas will slow. The oxygen will linger. The haze in the sky will thin. And for the first time, the planet will begin to see the color blue. Until then, the earth floats in silence, a pearl of green and gold adrift in black space. Its oceans whisper softly, alive with chemistry and light. It is a world of patience, a dream still forming. Take another slow breath. Listen to the sound of waves against ancient rock. Feel the warmth of a world that never stops moving. The fires have quieted, but the oceans now sing their endless lullaby. Sleep, and let the sound of those gray seas carry you gently into the next age of Earth's story. The moment when sunlight will awaken life, and the sky will begin to change forever. Take another deep breath, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now let the light fade away. The sun, dim though it is, sinks below the horizon. Above, the sky glows faintly red through its methane haze, and below, the oceans deepen into shadow. We descend into the dark waters of ancient Earth, to a place where sunlight never reaches, but where life, mysterious, invisible, and resilient, has already begun. Down here the ocean is heavy, silent, and endless. The deeper you go, the colder it becomes. Pressure builds until the water feels like stone pressing from every side. There is no sound but the hum of currents, no color but faint green fading into black. And yet, in this eternal night, there are glimmers of light, not from the sun but from the planet itself. The seafloor is cracked open. From these fractures the earth breathes. Plumes of superheated water rise like smoke, shimmering and twisting through the darkness. They burst from tall chimneys of minerals, black towers called hydrothermal vents. Each vent pours out a chemical soup rich with hydrogen, sulfur, and iron, the very building blocks of metabolism. To us this world would seem hostile, boiling water, crushing pressure, poisonous gases. But to the first microbes it was paradise. Here, life could feed not on sunlight, but on chemistry itself. These ancient organisms are called chemosynthetic bacteria. They use energy from chemical reactions, turning the gases of the Earth's interior into food. They drift and cling to the walls of the vents, forming films that shimmer faintly in the heat. Every molecule they consume releases a pulse of energy, small, quiet, yet constant. Over time, the vents become living cities. Clouds of microbes fill the water, each one dividing, growing, and drifting. When they die, their bodies fall to the seafloor, creating soft layers of organic matter. This cycle repeats endlessly, transforming volcanic minerals into life, and life back into minerals again. The scene is otherworldly. Imagine floating among these towers, the water warm and metallic, the light dim but golden like embers. Each plume is a gentle storm full of swirling particles that dance like snow in slow motion. It feels quiet here, but every molecule hums with purpose. This is the heartbeat of the deep. Perhaps in one of these vents something remarkable is happening. Simple molecules, amino acids, lipids, nucleotides, are coming together, assembling within tiny pockets of mineral walls. These natural compartments protect them, allowing more complex reactions to unfold. It is possible that in such places, the first true cells were born. The vents provided the structure, the chemistry, and the energy that life required to begin. If you listen carefully, you might imagine hearing the sound of it, not music, not words, but the soft rhythm of reactions repeating themselves. Hydrogen meets sulfur, carbon meets oxygen, energy is released. The dance of existence begins again and again, unceasing, eternal. And it isn't just one kind of life that thrives here. Even in this ancient age, diversity is already forming. Some microbes live close to the vents, feeding directly on the hot chemicals. Others drift farther away, living on the nutrients carried by the current. Each has found its niche, its balance between survival and risk. They are tiny, but their cooperation lays the groundwork for ecosystems that will one day span continents. Above, far beyond their sight, the surface world remains wild. Volcanoes erupting, storms raging, lightning splitting the air. But down here, none of that matters. In the dark, everything is calm. The temperature never changes much. The current flows steady and slow. The only constant sound is the low hiss of water escaping from the earth's veins. It is strange to think that this darkness, so alien, so quiet, is where the story of life truly took hold. Not in sunlight, but in shadow. Not in warmth, but in heat from the planet's core. It reminds us that life does not need comfort. It needs energy, structure, and time. And here it has all three. Now, drift upward slightly, just enough for faint light to appear above. The surface is still far away, but in this middle depth, something new is happening. Organic matter from the vents mixes with sunlight from above, creating a gradient, a place where both chemistry and light can reach. Here, the first great exchange between deep and shallow begins. The ocean is learning to feed itself. For millions of years, this pattern continues without interruption. Vents open and close. Microbes adapt and evolve. Some learn to use sunlight more efficiently. Others refine their chemistry, turning toxic gases into food. Slowly, life diversifies. What began as simple reactions in mineral walls becomes a network of metabolisms that binds the whole ocean together. If you could watch from above, you would see the faintest glow of energy, an invisible radiance spreading across the planet. Each vent, each colony, a spark of creation in the endless sea of dark. Take another breath now, slow and deep. Picture the water around you, dark, calm, ancient. Feel its warmth against your skin. Imagine the scent of metal and salt. This is the world that gave birth to everything. Your cells, your breath, your heartbeat, they all trace their lineage back to this quiet darkness. So, let the thought settle in you. Before forests and animals, before even the blue sky itself, there was this a silent, glowing ocean, alive in the dark. The next chapter of Earth's story will unfold slowly as life rises from the depths toward the light, learning to use the sun itself as fuel. But tonight, in this ancient darkness, the first spark of existence glows on. Sleep now and let the warmth of the vents, the rhythm of water, and the hum of ancient chemistry carry you into dreams of creation. Take a slow breath in and let it out. Above the black depths where the vents breathe, the ocean begins to glow with the faintest hint of day. It is not yet blue, not yet bright, but something has changed. The world is learning how to use light. 3 billion years ago, the sun still hung dim in the copper sky, its rays filtering through a veil of haze. Yet in the shallows of volcanic shores, small things have discovered a way to catch those weak rays and turn them into power. Tiny blue-green cells float and drift in the gentle waves. They are cyanobacteria, among the oldest life forms still alive today. They are simple but ingenious. Within their fragile walls lies the chemistry that will transform the planet forever. When the first rays of sunlight touch the water, these cells awaken. They absorb photons, packages of light, and use them to pull apart water molecules. From that reaction comes sugar for their tiny bodies, and oxygen as waste. Each bubble of gas rises quietly toward the surface, disappearing into the air. One bubble is nothing. 1 billion bubbles every day becomes destiny. Imagine floating in those shallows. The water is warm, rippling with gold where sunlight meets minerals. On the rocks below, thin mats of slime cover the stone like living paint. Over time the mats grow upward, layer upon layer, trapping grains of sand and minerals. They harden into rounded mounds called stromatolites, the earliest living structures ever built. They look like coral reefs sculpted from time itself. These colonies breathe with the rhythm of the day. Morning, light spreads and photosynthesis begins. Evening, darkness returns and the cells rest. Each sunrise is a signal, each sunset a pause, a gentle heartbeat that connects life to light. Listen closely. You can almost hear it. A quiet fizzing beneath the waves, millions of tiny cells releasing oxygen in silence. It drifts upward unseen, only to vanish as soon as it meets the iron-rich sea. The oxygen reacts with the water's metals, forming rust that settles to the ocean floor. Layer by layer, the seafloor turns red. These are the banded, iron formations that geologists still find today, silent signatures of the first breath of light. But the planet is not yet ready for oxygen. The air above remains dense with methane and carbon dioxide. For now, the new gas is a ghost, trapped and consumed by the chemistry of the earth. Still, the cyanobacteria persist. They multiply, covering entire shorelines, then drifting into the open sea. They do not know it, but their patience will remake the world. From space, the planet begins to shimmer differently. Where light touches shallow seas, faint turquoise halos appear. These bright zones mark where photosynthesis thrives, the planet's first true gardens. They are small, fragile, easily destroyed by storms or heat, yet every day they rebuild. Every day they breathe. Beneath the surface, other microbes adapt to the change. Some learn to live near the cyanobacteria, feeding on the byproducts of photosynthesis. Others retreat deeper, away from oxygen's reach. Already, life is dividing itself into new communities, those that love oxygen and those that fear it. This invisible tension will shape the future of evolution. Now look up through the water. The sun, dim but steady, scatters beams that shimmer like ribbons through the green. Particles dance in the light, each one reflecting a soft golden hue. If you could reach out and touch it, it would feel alive, warm, vibrating, almost breathing. The ocean has become a living lens, gathering energy and passing it from cell to cell. Above the waves, the world remains harsh. Volcanoes still roar. The sky still glows orange and storms roll endlessly. But between the flashes of lightning, the calm of midday feels different. The air is slowly, quietly changing. The faintest traces of oxygen begin to accumulate, and though it is still invisible to any eye, the chemistry of the atmosphere is shifting toward balance. In the language of sleep, this is the planet's first sigh, the long exhale after billions of years of holding its breath. With every pulse of sunlight, Earth releases a little more of itself, a gentle flow of life into air. If you were to place your hand upon a stromatolite, you'd feel the surface warm beneath the light. Tiny bubbles cling to your skin before floating upward. They pop in silence, leaving behind nothing but the faint taste of minerals and salt. That soundless motion, that rise and vanish, is the beginning of everything that breathes. As day turns to night, the cyanobacteria fall still. They close the reactions of light and switch to slow respiration. Above them, the sky fades to red, then violet, then black. The stars pierce through the haze for a few hours before dawn, and in that darkness, the planet seems to rest, its oceans holding the memory of light, its life dreaming of morning. For hundreds of millions of years, this rhythm will continue. Daylight, oxygen, darkness, rest. Layer upon layer, the stromatolites will grow. Each generation will leave its mark in stone, a fossilized echo of sunrise. And though no creature yet walks the land, the path for all future breathers, for fish, for forests, for humans, is already being prepared beneath the waves. So breathe with the planet now. In a sunlight, out oxygen, feel the slow, patient cycle of the world repeating itself. The ocean inhales light and exhales the air of the future. Even now, 3 billion years later, the same pattern continues every dawn. The first breath of light never ended. It simply learned new forms. Leaves, lungs, life. Every inhale you take is an echo of that ancient sea. Every exhale, a quiet thank you to those tiny blue-green architects. Let that thought settle gently. Let the sound of the waves soften. The world grows quieter. The light dims to gold, and as the cyanobacteria rest beneath the starlit surface, so too can you. Sleep now and dream of the light that taught a dark planet how to breathe. Close your eyes and lift your thoughts upward, beyond the rippling surface of the ancient sea. The light fades to amber, then to bronze, and finally to a dim golden haze. This is the sky of 3 billion years ago, a sky without blue. If you could stand on the edge of one of those volcanic islands, you'd look up into an atmosphere thick as smoke, a mixture of methane, carbon dioxide, sulfur gas, and water vapor. The air presses against your skin like warm silk. It carries the scent of iron and rain. Each breath would sting your throat, but it is here, in this strange air, that the planet's transformation begins. Above you, clouds coil and twist in slow motion. They are dense and heavy, colored orange by the dim sun. Lightning dances silently between them. Thin violet lines that flash fade and flash again. The sound follows seconds later, a long, rolling whisper of thunder that seems to come from everywhere at once. The sun itself glows faintly red, its light scattered by the haze of hydrocarbons that fills the sky. The world is wrapped in a permanent sunset. There is no crisp morning, no bright noon. Instead, the light changes slowly, a gradient of golds and reds that blend together like the inside of a flame. From above, this atmosphere would look like a living veil. Methane, produced by countless microbes in the sea, rises and reacts with sunlight. In the upper layers, ultraviolet radiation splits the molecules apart, weaving them back together into long chains of carbon. The same chemistry that gives Titan, Saturn's moon, its orange glow. These tiny particles drift downward, forming a haze so thick it hides the true color of the sky. Through this haze, the sun warms the planet. The methane traps heat, keeping the oceans liquid beneath the faint young star. Without it, Earth might have frozen solid. The price of warmth is darkness, the cost of life is a copper sky. When rain falls, it does so in torrents. Each drop is large and heavy, dragging with it grains of dust, volcanic ash, and organic compounds born in the upper atmosphere. When the rain meets the warm sea, it hisses softly, releasing faint steam that smells of salt and metal. Every storm becomes a cycle of renewal, washing the sky, feeding the sea, balancing the air. Imagine dusk on such a world. The sun slides behind the horizon, and the haze glows from within, like embers behind glass. The first stars are hidden, their light scattered into invisibility. Only the brightest shine through. Points of white fire seen through the orange veil. Sometimes the haze thins for a few hours. The air clears just enough for the upper sky to reveal a deeper color, not blue, but dark greenish, gray with hints of violet. It is the faintest preview of what the future holds, a whisper of the clear heavens yet to come. For now, though, the atmosphere remains heavy. It absorbs sunlight and returns it as warmth. Winds move slowly, Storms travel across the planet like drifting continents of vapor. The sound of rain is constant somewhere, always falling, always rising again in mist. In the shallows below, the cyanobacteria continue their quiet work. With each sunrise, they exhale oxygen. With each sunset, the oxygen rises and disappears into the haze. In the air, it meets methane, and the two gases react, destroying each other in bursts of invisible flame. The balance is delicate, a dance of light and chemistry that paints the sky its molten color. Every once in a while, lightning splits the clouds wide open. For an instant, you can see higher, up through the haze, where the very edge of space gleams faintly purple. It is a reminder of what lies beyond the thin vacuum waiting to swallow sound, heat, and air. But the Earth is not yet ready to open itself to the cosmos. It still hides beneath its shroud, nurturing its warmth, keeping its oceans safe. The methane haze gives the sky its glow, but the oxygen rising from the seas is slowly, invisibly eating away at it. Every molecule of oxygen that escapes into the atmosphere steals a little methane's place. The chemistry begins to shift. The haze grows thinner. The colors start to fade. One day, the sunlight will pierce through unobstructed. When it does, the sky will scatter that light in a new way, and for the first time it will turn blue. But that moment is still millions of years away. For now, the world remains wrapped in its dreamy orange veil, a protective blanket between life and the emptiness of space. At night, the haze glows faintly from within. Charged particles from the sun strike the upper atmosphere, and auroras ripple across the clouds, not green as they are today, but deep crimson and gold. They twist and fade, reflecting off the water below, turning the seas into vast mirrors of fire. It is the most beautiful planet no one has yet seen. If you could listen, the air would hum. Each lightning bolt, each raindrop, each chemical spark adds its note to the song of the sky. The melody is soft, endless, patient. It tells of balance forming from chaos, of a world slowly preparing for breath. Now breathe with it. In the warmth of methane and sunlight, out the promise of oxygen yet to come. The copper clouds drift overhead, and the rain begins again. Each drop that falls carries the story of transformation, from fire to water, from gas to air, from red to blue. One day the storms will calm, the haze will clear, and the first blue light will spill across the oceans, awakening new forms of life that can see it. But tonight, under this dim and glowing sky, the planet sleeps. It dreams of color. It dreams of tomorrow's light. Sleep now, and let the warm rain of ancient earth fall softly through your imagination. The sky above you is not yet blue, but it is already alive. Take a slow breath in and picture the rain. Soft at first, warm, steady, endless. It falls through the orange haze of the sky, through air thick with methane and carbon dioxide, through clouds that glow like molten gold. Each drop carries whispers of minerals, traces of sulfur and iron, and the taste of a world still learning how to live. When the rain touches the ground, it hisses. Steam rises from hot volcanic rock, curling upward like breath on cold glass. Every raindrop that lands breaks apart the stone a little more, cooling it, carving it, shaping it. Over time, the surface begins to soften. Jagged lava fields turn to gravel, and the first trickles of water find paths downhill. These trickles join together, and soon, the first rivers are born. They are not clear or blue like modern streams. They run thick with dust and metal, cloudy green-brown, shimmering with the reflection of a red sun. Each river snakes through a landscape that is still new, its course determined by the cracks in cooling stone. Sometimes the water vanishes into steam. Sometimes it cuts through rock and plunges into the sea. But with each journey, the river carries something away. It carries the planet's story. Grains of ash from volcanoes, crumbled pieces of basalt, minerals dissolved from rock. In its slow, winding way, the river begins to write the land. Imagine standing beside one of these rivers. The air is warm, the ground beneath your feet soft from constant rain. You hear the deep hum of the planet, the rumble of distant eruptions, the low sigh of water running downhill. The smell is unlike anything you've ever known, a mix of smoke, salt, and new earth. You reach into the water, and your fingers come away stained orange with iron. It is the same iron that once slept deep within the planet's crust, now freed by the patient touch of rain. When that iron flows to the ocean, it feeds the microbes that live there, the cyanobacteria that use it to build their fragile homes. The rivers are not just carving rock, they are feeding life. Each valley that forms becomes a cradle. Pools collect in low places, catching minerals that sparkle under the dim sun. These pools are laboratories of change, places where chemistry grows more complex, where energy and matter swirl together, testing new combinations, building the foundations for life yet to come. Listen, do you hear it? The sound of water against stone, the rhythm of rain on rock, the first true music of the earth. Before this, the planet was silent, only the crackle of fire and the hiss of steam. Now it sings in motion. Rivers are its voice, soft and persistent, whispering over time scales we can barely imagine. As centuries pass into millennia, the rivers cut deeper. They carve valleys through volcanic plains, creating shapes that will one day guide continents and coastlines. When the water meets the ocean, it fans out into deltas of black sand and silt. Here, the land and sea meet in slow conversation. Minerals from the mountains meet salt from the waves, and life thrives in the mixture. From above, the planet begins to take form, not yet blue, not yet green, but patterned, etched by winding rivers that glint like veins of metal. Each one carries warmth and nutrients, spreading life's potential farther from the volcanic centers. The earth is learning the art of circulation. Sometimes the rivers change course. A mountain collapses, a vent erupts, a new channel opens. The land is still unstable, but the water always finds a way. No matter the obstacle, it flows, carving, smoothing, feeding. Even now, billions of years later, that same persistence remains in every drop of rain. When night falls, the rivers glow faintly in the dim starlight. The haze in the atmosphere reflects the last of the sunlight, painting the water in shades of bronze and deep green. Lightning flickers in the distance, illuminating the wet stones for an instant, then fading into darkness again. The rivers keep moving, guided by gravity, by patience, by time. Somewhere along their banks, microbes drift in the shallow water, anchoring themselves to grains of sand. They form films and colonies, tiny mats of living cells that trap sediment and build upon themselves. These, too, are rivers' creations, the first wetlands, the first ecosystems of land and water. Each rainstorm adds to their story. Each sunrise evaporates a little water back into the sky. The cycle is now complete. For the first time, Earth has balance, a system of renewal that will sustain it for billions of years. Now take a deep breath. Feel the rhythm of water within you, a reflection of the same cycles flowing through your veins. The rivers you've imagined are ancient, but their story never ended. The same molecules of water that flowed across that black rock still fall as rain today, still carve valleys, still return to the sea. Everything that lives, every breath, every heartbeat, is part of that same motion. The rivers wrote the land, and through that writing they taught the planet how to change. So rest for a moment beside them. Listen to their quiet persistence. Feel the warmth of steam rising from their surface, the soft hiss of rain meeting rock. The world around you is heavy with creation. The air smells of minerals and new beginnings. Sleep now and let the rivers carry you, as they once carried the bones of mountains and the seeds of life, toward the calm and endless sea. You said next, ChatGPT said Chapter 9, Rock, Rain, and Chemistry D1000 words. Narration script, breathe in slowly and let it go. The rain has softened the mountains. The rivers have carved their paths. Now, the world begins to change in ways that are invisible to the eye, slow, quiet, and permanent. Every drop of rain that falls on the black volcanic stone carries a secret purpose. Water is not only gentle, it is patient and relentless. It seeps into cracks, dissolves minerals, and carries them away grain by grain. Each reaction between rock and rain rewrites the planet's surface chemistry, turning raw basalt into new materials. The first clays, the first fertile crust of soil. Listen to the sound of that work, not a roar or a crash, but a soft whisper, the hiss of droplets striking hot stone, the murmur of streams eating their way into the land. The chemistry of weathering has begun. When volcanic rock meets carbon dioxide in the rain, they trade elements like two careful hands. Calcium and magnesium from the stone bind with carbon from the air, forming new minerals. Carbonate rocks that lock the gas away. The atmosphere thins, the climate cools just a little, and the planet learns its first lesson in balance. It is a delicate equilibrium, a partnership between sky and stone. Too much carbon, and the air grows thick and hot. Too little, and the world begins to freeze. But together, rain and rock keep the temperature steady enough for the oceans to remain liquid, for life to keep breathing. Picture the scene from above. Storms sweep across the planet like slow, golden curtains of rain. Each one scrubs the air clean, pulling gases downward into the water. In the rivers, the carbon mixes with dissolved iron and silica. When it reaches the sea, it feeds the cyanobacteria that drift in the shallows, helping them grow faster, helping them exhale even more oxygen. The planet is beginning to talk to itself, air, water, and stone in constant conversation. It is through these exchanges that Earth learns the rhythm of stability. It is the first spark of what we now call a climate system, born not from intention, but from the quiet insistence of chemistry. Now look closer at the rocks themselves. Their surfaces glisten after every rain, etched with thin films of minerals that glow green and red in the dim light. In tiny hollows, pools collect, warm, rich with dissolved metals. As they cool, crystals begin to grow, arranging themselves into delicate lattices, geometry born from patience. Somewhere in those pools, simple organic molecules gather. Perhaps they join together, perhaps they break apart again. The chemistry of life does not rest, it tests every possibility. Far below the surface, water seeps deep into the crust, meeting the heat of magma. It returns to the surface through vents and geysers, changed, charged with new minerals. Each eruption feeds the oceans anew. Every cycle of rain and fire adds more ingredients to the recipe of life. The rocks, once solid and unyielding, are slowly turning into storytellers. They record each shift in chemistry as bands of color, dark layers rich in iron, lighter ones filled with carbonates and clays. These are the pages of Earth's first diary, written in silence and pressure. Take another breath. Feel the weight of time pressing forward. Millions of years pass like seconds. Mountains rise and crumble. Rivers change their course. Oceans bloom and fade. Through it all, the same dialogue continues, rock dissolving into rain, rain carving into stone, both giving and taking in endless exchange. In the sky, methane still hangs thick, but oxygen is beginning to nibble at its edges. When lightning flashes, it ignites faint blue fires that flicker and die in the haze. Chemical sparks that forge nitrates, fertilizer for the ocean's life. Storms no longer only destroy, they create. If you were to run your hand across a cliff face in this era, you would feel the story beneath your fingertips. Smooth layers of newly formed minerals, each one a relic of rain that fell eons ago. The warmth of the rock would still hold the memory of volcanoes, but its surface would carry the mark of water's touch. The earth is now both fire and rain, both destruction and renewal. It is learning how to recycle itself. Nothing is wasted, every eruption feeds the air, every storm feeds the sea, every wave returns minerals to the depths. It is a planet in balance with its own contradictions. Above, the clouds glow in copper light. Below, the rivers glimmer with metallic sheen. The land steams after every storm, and from that steam rises the scent of wet minerals, the perfume of early earth. It is a smell no human will ever truly know, but you can imagine it, warm, sharp, clean, the fragrance of creation itself. Now the rain begins to fade, mist settles in the valleys, the air grows still. In the silence, you can hear a different kind of movement, not of water but of time. Rock, rain, and chemistry continue their quiet labor, turning a world of chaos into a world of cycles. The crust thickens, the air cools. The first stable continents begin to take shape, born from lava and sculpted by rain. Every mountain, every pebble, owes its shape to this patient conversation between elements. So breathe again. In the scent of whetstone, out the sigh of steam. The same reactions that tempered the ancient atmosphere still continue today in every river and storm. You are breathing the echo of that first balance. As night falls on this early planet, the clouds thin, revealing faint starlight above the haze. The surface glows softly with heat, the rivers glisten in the darkness, and deep beneath your feet, chemical murmurs continue their work. The world rests. But it is never still. Rain will fall again. Rocks will change again, and the chemistry of life will grow a little more complex, a little more daring. Sleep now, and let the sound of ancient rain wash through your thoughts. The stones beneath you are not silent. They are whispering the first truths of balance, the patient dialogue that shaped a living world. Breathe in slowly and picture the world now from above. The storms have softened, the lava fields have cooled, and the rivers run wide across the young continents. The air still glows faintly gold, but beneath that haze something remarkable is unfolding. Life is beginning to gather in communities. For billions of years, single cells drifted alone. They floated through the oceans, multiplying quietly, dividing endlessly, each one living and dying without awareness of the rest. But now, in the calm after endless storms, the seas have grown rich with nutrients. Iron, sulfur, and carbon swirl together, feeding the small, and the small at last begin to find each other. Down in shallow lagoons on sunlit rocks, and within the shadows of the deep, microbes come together in mats that shimmer blue-green. They coat the stones like velvet, their surfaces slick with a thin film of life. Within these layers, countless cells share warmth, chemicals, and energy. They trade gases, protect each other from the harshness of the sun, and build, layer upon layer, the living monuments we call stromatolites. If you could lean close, you would hear nothing, only the gentle movement of water over their surface. But inside, invisible to the eye, a quiet exchange takes place. Some cells capture sunlight and produce sugar. Others consume that sugar and release nutrients in return. It is a partnership older than any language, the first cooperation between living things. These communities are small, yet they change everything. When one cell divides, it helps another survive. When one releases oxygen, another uses it to build energy more efficiently. Slowly, the ocean becomes a network of interwoven lives, each dependent on the other, each adding stability to the fragile planet. Now imagine drifting over one of these microbial plains. The water is warm, waist deep, glowing softly in the copper sunlight. Each ripple disturbs a tapestry of color, greens, yellows, browns, a living carpet that stretches for miles. You are floating above the first ecosystem, a world of invisible connections that pulse together like a single heart. Time passes differently here. Each layer of microbes grows and dies in rhythm with the sun. During the day, photosynthetic cells drink in the light, filling the water with faint oxygen bubbles that rise and vanish. At night, the mat turns inward, cells consuming the stored sugars, resting, dividing, waiting for dawn to return. The planet's heartbeat now has a day and a night, a pulse that mirrors the turn of the Earth itself. Beneath the surface, the chemistry deepens. As cells live and die, their remains build soft layers of organic mud. Minerals settle in between, and the pressure of time turns these mats into stone. Each layer records a day, a season, an age. In every slice of ancient rock that will one day be uncovered, the pattern of this cooperation will still be there. Lines of light and dark, life and rest. Within these colonies, another miracle unfolds. Some microbes begin to share bits of themselves, tiny strands of genetic code passed from one to another. Through this quiet exchange, evolution accelerates. New abilities spread quickly, to process light more efficiently, to survive in saltier water, to tolerate oxygen's strange power. It is the earliest form of communication on Earth, information, not words, drifting between living beings. The oceans, once chaotic, are now divided into zones of purpose. Near the vents, heat-loving microbes still feed on sulfur. In the shallows, light lovers build layered reefs. In the mid-depths, scavengers and recyclers weave the two together. Every niche is filled, every function connected. The planet has become a single, living machine of chemistry and energy. Take a breath. You are breathing the descendants of these alliances. Your own body is a community of cells, each one specialized, each one communicating in silence. Inside you, as inside the ancient ocean, cooperation has replaced chaos. Now picture the scene as twilight falls. The copper sky dims and the surface of the lagoon turns mirror-like. Tiny ripples move outward from unseen motions, cells dividing, mats expanding, gases escaping in silent bursts. Under the fading light, the water glows faintly green. The first flickers of bioluminescence appear, chemical sparks from microbes that use light not to see, but to signal, to connect. The air is changing again. With every breath of oxygen released by these communities, the haze above grows thinner. The sunsets shift from orange to gold to pale yellow. The horizon begins to soften. The first hints of the future blue sky whisper through the clouds. The planet does not yet know it, but it is preparing for transformation. In these quiet shallows, the foundations for everything to come are being written. The logic of symbiosis, the architecture of ecosystems, the very rhythm of life itself, all emerge here, in colonies no bigger than grains of sand. Even after billions of years, their pattern endures in coral reefs, in forests, in the cells of your skin. What began as mats of microbes clinging to rock became the principle by which all living things survive. No life exists alone. Now let the image fade. Hear only the gentle slosh of water against stone. Feel the warmth of a world that has found its rhythm. In this age of quiet cooperation, the earth breathes evenly, its pulse steady, its surface calm. Sleep now, and let the ancient song of these communities fill your dreams. The hum of a billion cells working as one, the whisper of life learning, for the very first time, to live together. Take a slow, deep breath and imagine the sound of a planet alive. Not the quiet earth you know, but one that hums, rumbles, and whispers through every moment. This is the world 3 billion years ago, a planet that never slept. Even now, long after the worst of the chaos has passed, the ground still trembles. Volcanoes smolder across distant horizons, their peaks glowing faintly red in the dim copper light. Oceans rise and fall with the pull of a closer moon. Lightning flashes silently inside the clouds, as if the atmosphere itself were breathing electricity. Everywhere energy moves. Winds stir the thick air, currents twist through the sea, and the crust beneath your feet stretches and folds. Nothing on this young earth is still. Even in its calm, the planet is at work, a living engine always in motion. If you could stand upon one of the early continents, you would feel it beneath you. A low vibration, deep, constant, patient. The planet's inner heat seeps upward, warming the ground, creating faint streams of steam that rise from cracks in the rock. Each wisp curls into the heavy air, disappearing like a dream. Above, the sky is a dim bronze dome, the haze slowly thinning with every breath of oxygen the seas provide. Clouds roll lazily from one horizon to the other, carrying the memory of evaporation and rain. Each drop that falls joins rivers that run endlessly to the ocean, and their tides pull them back again. The cycle is complete, turning water into wind, wind into cloud, cloud into rain, a heartbeat that never stops. The Earth's pulse is not measured in seconds, but in rhythms of geology and chemistry. Volcanoes exhale carbon dioxide, warming the air. Rain draws that carbon back into the sea, where life turns it into stone. Each process balances another. Each motion answers a motion. The planet is learning how to breathe evenly, how to regulate its own fever. Listen, even silence here has sound. The low groan of shifting crust, the hiss of gases escaping through vents, the deep, resonant murmur of tides colliding far away. It is the sound of a world alive in every layer. Beneath the ocean, vents still glow. They never rest, pouring minerals into the water day and night. Around them, life thrives without pause. Bacteria feeding, dividing, exchanging energy in endless repetition. The deep sea glows softly, a tapestry of heat and motion that mirrors the fiery core below. In the shallows, the mats of cyanobacteria rise with the light and rest with the dark. Their day-night cycle has become a song. When sunlight touches them, they awaken, releasing oxygen that drifts upward into the sky. When night falls, they fall silent, their work handed over to other microbes that feed on what remains. Life and planet move together, each responding to the other's rhythm. The moon, still much closer to Earth than it is today, tugs at the oceans with enormous force. Tides surge higher, sweeping across the shorelines and pulling them back again. Every 12 hours, whole stretches of land vanish beneath water, then reappear, gleaming and new. In these fleeting moments between flood and retreat, life spreads. Cells carried by waves find new stones, new sunlight, new beginnings. It is as if the planet itself rocks its children to sleep, cradling life between breath and tide. Even the nights glow. When lightning flickers within the clouds, it strikes the surface of the sea and vanishes in silence. Auroras shimmer near the poles, their red and gold light spreading like curtains across the haze. Volcanoes add their own glow, their lava reflecting off the low clouds, painting the world in moving shadows of orange and violet. This planet does not know stillness. It never has, and it never will. Even now, billions of years later, its core turns, its seas move, its winds whisper. But in this age, the motion is more visible, more intimate, like the heartbeat of something newly alive. If you could sleep upon this earth, you would feel it in your bones, the vibration of creation. The ground would hum softly beneath you. The air would tremble with the faint sound of distant storms. It would not frighten you, it would lull you. A lullaby sung not by creatures, but by the world itself. Every pulse of lava, every falling star, every drop of rain adds its note to the music. This is how the planet speaks. This is how it keeps time. And through this ceaseless motion, the chemistry of life finds its rhythm. Cells divide in cycles that match the tides. Photosynthetic mats breathe in daylight and rest in darkness. The deep sea vents never tire. There is no true night here, only pauses in brightness, only moments between beats. Now take a breath with the planet. In the warmth of magma beneath your feet, out the cool mist of ocean air. You are part of this endless pattern. Atoms recycled from stone and rain, molecules that once moved in the same currents as ancient seas. The earth has always been awake. It dreams in weather, it thinks in motion. Even as it calms, it changes. Even as it rests, it breathes. Close your eyes and listen to its heartbeat. The deep thunder in the distance, the wind that brushes past, the faint hum you can almost feel inside your chest. That is the sound of time. Long after this age fades, after continents rise and skies turn blue, the rhythm will remain. The tides will still fall and rise. Volcanoes will still breathe in fire. Rain will still write stories on the land. The planet will never stop its gentle motion. Sleep now, and let the ancient earth hold you in its restless calm. The world around you is not silent. It hums softly in its sleep, a reminder that even as you rest, the planet keeps turning, keeps dreaming, keeps alive. Take a slow breath in and imagine the color red. Not the red of sunsets or firelight, but a deeper red. The color of rust, of ancient iron sleeping beneath an ocean. 3 billion years ago, that color began to spread quietly through the seas, marking the slow rise of something new to oxygen. For millions of years, cyanobacteria had labored in silence, turning sunlight into energy, exhaling oxygen as an invisible sigh. At first, that oxygen vanished as quickly as it appeared, consumed by volcanic gases and dissolved metals. The world breathed it in and gave it back to stone. But time was patient. Each day brought more light, more oxygen, more change. The oceans of this era were full of iron, dissolved and invisible in their green-gray depths. When oxygen touched that iron, it reacted instantly, turning the water red-brown with floating rust. Those tiny flakes settled slowly through the currents, blanketing the seafloor in layers of crimson dust. Each layer recorded a breath, oxygen rising, iron falling, a conversation written in mineral tones. These were the banded iron formations, the oldest geological records of air meeting sea. If you could see them forming, you'd watch colors shift beneath the surface like clouds. For centuries at a time, the oceans would glow faintly reddish, then return to green as the chemistry rebalanced. The cycle repeated over and over, leaving stripes of red and gray that still shine in ancient stone today. Imagine drifting beneath that surface. Sunlight filters through the haze, turning the water copper and gold. Tiny bubbles rise from the cyanobacterial mats below, each one a spark of change. The sea smells faintly metallic, a taste of iron in every breath. When the light strikes the particles suspended in the water, they shimmer, the ocean glinting like liquid bronze. It is a quiet revolution. No storms, no fire, just slow chemistry reshaping a world. Every cell that breathes out oxygen adds a stroke to the planet's canvas. Every rusted grain that settles to the seafloor becomes a memory of transformation. Over millions of years, the layers build up, red from iron oxide, gray from silica and clay. They form rock as hard as steel. Rock that will one day be raised into mountains and mined by distant descendants who will never know they are touching the fingerprints of the first atmosphere. The cyanobacteria do not know what they are making. They only follow their nature, to take in light and release air. Yet their simple work is changing everything. The methane that once blanketed the planet begins to thin. The haze that gave the sky its copper glow starts to fade. The oceans clear a little more with each passing moon. For the first time, the sunlight reaching the water's surface is clean, sharp, almost blue. But this gift has a cost. Oxygen, though gentle to us, is deadly to the microbes that came before. For them it is poison. It burns their chemistry, shatters their delicate balance. Slowly, the oxygen spreads, and one by one, the old forms of life retreat. Some vanish into extinction. Others adapt, finding safe havens deep beneath the seafloor, or in the bubbling vents where oxygen cannot reach. It is the planet's first great reckoning, the first mass extinction, carried out not by fire or ice, but by breath. Above, storms gather. When lightning strikes the ocean, the surface flashes with blue fire, oxygen and methane meeting in fierce reaction. The glow fades quickly, but the message remains: the atmosphere is changing. The world is becoming new. Now, picture the seafloor beneath those rust-colored waves. Layer upon layer of mineral dust settles, each grain as fine as smoke. They form rippling dunes in the deep, undisturbed for millions of years. Between the red layers lie bands of gray and black, periods when oxygen dwindled and the seas grew anoxic again. The pattern is rhythmic, a pulse that matches the cycles of sunlight, the seasons of the sun itself. Somewhere in that slow rhythm, life learns to adapt. New microbes arise that can tolerate oxygen, even use it to unlock energy faster than before. They are the first aerobes, the ancestors of everything that will one day breathe. With them, the pace of evolution quickens. The earth, for the first time, has air worth breathing. From above, the world glows differently now. The once green oceans shine reddish gold. The haze in the sky grows thinner, and through that thinning veil the sun's light begins to scatter in blue. It is faint, just a whisper of color, but it is enough. The sky is starting to wake. Take a moment and imagine that light touching your skin, the warmth of the first true morning. The air smells cleaner, the wind feels lighter. Beneath your feet, the ground holds layers of red stone, each one a chapter in the story of breath. If you could stand here long enough, you would watch those rocks rise and fall, buried and revealed, lifted by the slow dance of tectonic plates. The earth is preserving its memories, keeping its earliest conversations sealed in stone. And even now, in the iron beneath modern soil, in the rust that forms on a simple tool, you can see echoes of this ancient process. Oxygen meeting iron, repeating the first dialogue between air and sea. The planet has learned to breathe, but it has not yet learned control. The oxygen will continue to rise, the greenhouse gases will fade, and the warmth that once protected the oceans will begin to slip away. Soon, the earth will face a new trial, a deep freeze, a world wrapped in ice. But for now, the seas shimmer red under a golden sky, the air hums with potential, and somewhere in the calm between tides, a single bubble of oxygen rises toward the surface, bursts, and disappears into the dawn of the world. Sleep now, and let that slow rhythm carry you, iron settling through still water, oxygen rising through air, the steady breath of a planet learning, for the very first time, to live with its own creation. Take a deep breath in, and let it fall away slowly. The air is clearer now. The copper haze that once hid the sky is thinning, and the sunlight feels softer, purer, as it glides over the still waters of the early oceans. The great rusting of the seas has ended. The red dust has settled, and the world, for a time, seems calm. It is as if the planet has taken a long breath, an inhale of transformation, and now exhales into quiet. This is an age without drama, a stretch of nearly 1 billion years where the Earth's story moves slowly, almost imperceptibly. Geologists call it the boring billion, but it is not truly boring. It is a time of balance, of deep, patient evolution. A time when the planet learns the value of stillness. Picture it: the continents have stopped their violent collisions. The volcanoes that once roared night and day now smolder quietly along distant ridges. The atmosphere, rich with oxygen, settles into harmony with the seas below. The tides flow in rhythm with the moon. The winds drift gently across the water's surface. The storms come, but they pass. Nothing extreme, nothing hurried. For the first time in its long history, the Earth rests. From space, the planet glows blue, green, its oceans deep and vast, its sky tinged with pale gold at the edges of dawn. There are no forests yet, no flowers, no wings in the air. Only quiet continents, rocky and bare, traced by rivers that shimmer in the sunlight. Beneath the surface, though, life continues its silent labor. Microbes still cover the ocean floor, and the cyanobacteria still breathe in light, building reefs of layered stone. But the pace has slowed. The bursts of oxygen that once reshaped the planet now rise steadily, predictably. The chemistry of the ocean stabilizes. The air no longer burns. The chaos has given way to peace. At first glance, it would seem nothing is happening. But in this long silence, the foundations of complexity are quietly forming. In the calm depths of the ocean, cells begin to change. Some learn to build internal structures, nuclei, compartments, scaffolds, tiny rooms within themselves to keep order. These are the first eukaryotes, the ancestors of every plant, animal, and human to come. They drift through the water like soft, transparent orbs, absorbing nutrients, stretching new membranes, testing new possibilities. They reproduce slowly, but each generation adds refinement. Inside these cells, the machinery of life grows intricate and elegant. The planet's silence is not emptiness, it is concentration. Even the continents are learning patience. Tectonic plates shift so gradually now that mountains rise over hundreds of millions of years. Rain falls softly, grinding them back down grain by grain. Rivers carry that dust to the seas, where it settles into layers of sand and clay. Each grain holds the memory of an earlier storm, an earlier world. The air itself feels heavy with time. The winds no longer howl, they sigh. The sunlight no longer flickers through smoke, it glows steady and calm. Each day stretches endlessly into the next, a repetition of balance. This is the earth meditating, a billion-year breath between upheavals, a pause before the next awakening. If you could walk along a coastline during this age, you would hear only the rhythm of waves, the occasional crack of stone shifting, the distant whisper of a breeze. The world would feel infinite, untouched, young and old at once. Look closer, though, and you would see small miracles everywhere. Delicate mats of green slime cling to the rocks, colonies of microscopic algae that shimmer when sunlight touches them. These are the pioneers of the future, cells that will one day give rise to plants. They are the first hints of color in a world that has known only gray and gold. In the shallows, eukaryotic cells begin to form communities of their own. They live inside one another, one cell offering protection, the other providing energy. It is the beginning of symbiosis, the same cooperation that will later give birth to every leaf and lung. But for now, it is quiet, imperceptible, a slow whisper of progress beneath the waves. Time passes, and the planet's rhythm continues. Day and night, tide and storm, season and calm. The continents drift gently, their outlines changing so slowly that no eye could notice. But with every movement, the pattern of the world becomes more familiar. Mountains, valleys, coastlines. The earth is shaping itself into a home. Above, the atmosphere clears further still. The sun shines brighter than before. The sky, once orange, now deepens to a muted blue. It is a pale echo of the sky, you know, but it is the first of its kind. The color of oxygen, the color of a planet alive and breathing. It is easy to call this time boring, because its stories are not told in eruptions or extinctions. But sometimes the most important transformations happen in stillness. It is in silence that the next step gathers strength. So, breathe with the planet again. In the calm of the oceans, out the patience of mountains. This is not a pause, it is preparation. The world is waiting, its energy stored, its chemistry aligned, its life quietly evolving toward complexity. Soon, the stillness will break. Oxygen will surge again. Continents will collide. Ice will sweep across the surface. But for now, the earth rests in perfect balance. A long exhale beneath a young blue sky. Sleep now, and let the quiet of this ancient world fill you. Hear the soft lapping of the tides, the distant hum of unseen life. The earth is not silent. It is simply breathing slowly, patiently, preparing for what comes next. Take a slow, steady breath, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel how natural that motion is, the quiet exchange of air. It seems effortless to you, but it was not always so. There was a time when every breath on this planet was built by unseen architects, tiny, tireless workers who transformed the very nature of the sky. We return now to that world, still ancient, still quiet. The haze of the early atmosphere has long since lifted, and the sun glows warmer through the clear blue of a maturing sky. The earth is calm, but beneath that calm, change continues. The oceans still rule the planet. From space, Earth looks like a sphere of turquoise and gray-green, its continents small and scattered. Along the shorelines, life blooms in shallow mats of green. Communities of cyanobacteria, the same ancient organisms that began exhaling oxygen hundreds of millions of years ago. They are still at work, still exhaling, still shaping everything that breathes. These are the hidden architects of air. They ask for nothing, they speak no words, but with every molecule of oxygen they release, they rebuild the atmosphere of a world. Imagine standing beside a shallow lagoon under the young sun. The water ripples gently, warm and golden, and beneath the surface, the living mats sway like fabric in a current. Each layer is alive with motion, cells dividing, absorbing light, turning photons into food. As they work, tiny bubbles rise to the surface, bursting silently in the air. You would not hear them, but you would not even see them. But those bubbles hold the future. For billions of years, oxygen has been building slowly, its concentration in the atmosphere rising molecule by molecule. Now, at last, that invisible tide is beginning to shift. The air grows lighter. The sky deepens to a truer blue. The sunlight feels sharper, the shadows clearer. With every passing millennium, the chemistry of the planet tips further toward transformation. Iron no longer flows freely in the oceans. It has settled to the seafloor as red stone. Methane, once thick in the air, is fading. And as methane disappears, so too does the warmth it once trapped. The greenhouse blanket begins to thin. The world cools slowly, silently, almost unnoticed. But the cyanobacteria do not stop. They have no awareness of consequence. They only follow light. Every sunrise is their signal, every wave their breath, and though they are tiny, their patience is absolute. In the quiet persistence of their work, they are changing the destiny of the planet. Look closer, and you'll see how they live together. Dense colonies spreading across the shallow seafloor. Their mats grow thicker each season, each generation adding a new layer to the reef. Within those layers, oxygen seeps downward, reacting with the minerals below, changing them from gray to red, from inert to living. Even the stone itself becomes part of the process. In some places, the oxygen collects faster than the planet can absorb it. At the edges of lagoons and tidal pools, bubbles form in strings that drift to the surface like beads of light. When they break, the air changes a little more. It is not enough for creatures like us. Not yet. But for the first time, the world has an atmosphere where oxygen endures. With this new air, new possibilities emerge. Cells that once hid from oxygen begin to experiment with it. Some learn to use it, to harness its energy through respiration. This is the beginning of aerobic life. A revolution so quiet you could sleep through it, but powerful enough to reshape evolution itself. Now imagine the scene at sunset. The copper tones of the past have faded, the horizon glows amber and blue. The air smells faintly of salt and minerals, the wind soft across the sea. The cyanobacteria mats turn dark with the falling light. Their work slowing. They rest, and the planet exhales with them. For the first time, the day and night of the world are connected by the rhythm of breath. Each dawn renews the cycle. Each dusk preserves it. For eons, the hidden architects continue their quiet construction, layering oxygen into the atmosphere, saturating the oceans, paving the way for complexity. And yet, the world they are creating will not remain gentle for long. As the methane dwindles, the heat begins to fade. The warmth that once embraced the ocean starts to slip away. Cold creeps down from the poles. Snow forms on mountaintops that have never known ice. It is subtle at first, a whisper of chill in the air, but it is growing. The architects of air, unknowing, are pulling the planet toward its next transformation, a great freeze that will test the endurance of all that lives. They cannot stop. Their nature is to create, to breathe, to fill the sky with light and oxygen. They are builders, not destroyers. Yet even creation has consequences. Take a slow breath again, in and out. The oxygen in your lungs now was first imagined here, in the shallows of an ancient sea, in the chemistry of cells too small to see. Their work has never ended. Every breath on this planet, every heartbeat, every flame, is a continuation of their rhythm. Even as the world they built begins to cool, they continue their quiet labor, unaware that their gift will soon blanket the earth in ice. They are the unseen bridge between fire and frost, between chaos and order, between the red haze of the past and the blue sky of the future. So rest for a moment with them. Listen to the whisper of the waves, the faint fizz of oxygen rising through water. This is the sound of patience, the song of creation that never ends. Sleep now, and let the hidden architects keep building the air around your dreams. For in their silence, they are still breathing life into every dawn. Take a deep, easy breath, and imagine the world at dawn. The air is cool, the horizon wide, and for the first time in all of Earth's long history, the sky is beginning to change its color. For billions of years, sunlight filtered through haze, orange, gold, and copper, casting the world in a perpetual twilight. But now the air is thinning, its veil slowly dissolving. The oxygen exhaled by unseen life below the waves has begun to replace the ancient methane, and the chemistry of the heavens is shifting. At first it happens quietly. The haze grows faint, the light grows clearer. Each sunrise glows a little less red, each midday burns a little brighter. Until one morning, under the patient watch of the sun, the color blue appears, soft, pale, endless. The sky before you is unlike anything the earth has ever known. The haze that once guarded its warmth has vanished, and in its place is clarity, the pure scattering of sunlight through air. The world below shines differently now. Oceans sparkle in turquoise, the first true reflection of sky upon sea. Take a slow breath. This is oxygen's signature, its gift to the planet. It bends the light, it clears the air, it gives the world a color that speaks of peace and depth. But beauty always brings balance, and balance always carries a price. The methane that once trapped the sun's warmth is gone, and without it, the planet begins to cool. At first, the change is pleasant. The storms soften, the clouds drift higher, the rain turns gentle and cool. But over millennia, the shift grows stronger. Snow begins to form on mountaintops, white against the new blue sky. Ice gathers at the poles, and glaciers begin their slow march toward the sea. The turning of the sky has set a greater wheel in motion, the wheel of climate. Imagine standing on an early continent, watching this transformation unfold. The air is thinner, cleaner. Each breath tastes sharp and cold. The sun feels farther away, its warmth less certain. You look upward, and the blue is overwhelming, so vast it seems infinite, so calm it hides the quiet danger gathering at the edges of the world. The cyanobacteria below, those architects of air, continue their silent work. Each day, they exhale more oxygen, unaware that their gift is pushing the planet toward its first great freeze. Their breath has ended the haze, but it has also unbalanced the warmth. Now, the earth must adapt once again. The oceans, once green-gray with metals, are turning clear and blue. Iron and sulfur have settled to the seafloor. The water reflects the sky above, creating a symmetry that will last for ages. For the first time, light can travel freely from the surface to the depths. Life follows it, rising into the glow. The planet, though colder, is brighter than ever before. Look around this world. It feels familiar now. A blue sky, a blue sea, a quiet hum of wind. But it is also fragile. Each new breath of oxygen strengthens the chill. Each season of clarity steals a little more heat from the air. Soon, the warmth that once wrapped the world will be gone, and the snow will not melt. And yet, in this fragile balance, there is wonder. For the first time, the sun's light can touch the land directly, painting the stones with shadows, turning the waves to liquid glass. Sunlight itself has changed the rhythm of the planet. The day feels longer, the colors more vivid. Gold at dawn, blue at noon, violet and indigo at dusk. The world has discovered beauty. High in the atmosphere, oxygen begins to form ozone, a thin, invisible shield that blocks the harshest rays of the sun. Without it, the surface would burn. With it, life can dream of leaving the ocean one day. The same molecule that clears the sky is now building the barrier that will protect all future life. The architects of air have built not just light, but safety. As night falls, the stars appear sharper than ever. No longer blurred by haze, they glimmer like cold fire through the clean air. For the first time, the Milky Way stretches clear across the heavens, a river of starlight mirrored in the ocean below. The world has entered an age of light and color, a brief, brilliant calm before the cold. Take another breath and let it fill you. The oxygen you inhale now carries that same lineage. It was born from the work of those tiny cells, forged in the shallows, woven into the atmosphere molecule by molecule. Every sky you have ever seen, every sunrise, every clear blue day, exists because of that transformation. The earth, for all its turmoil, is always moving toward harmony. The storms of fire gave way to rain, the rain to rivers, the rivers to life, and now, life has given the sky its color. It is the first true glimpse of the modern world, and yet it is only a chapter, a breath between extremes. Soon, the blue will be reflected in white, the continents will vanish beneath ice, the ocean will freeze at its edges, and still the cyanobacteria will continue to breathe, their patience undiminished. But tonight, the planet rests beneath its new sky, bathed in clarity. The first light of a future world shines down, and everything glows. The rocks, the water, the air itself. Close your eyes. Picture that infinite blue stretching above an empty world. Hear the gentle lap of cold waves against stone. Feel the crisp wind that whispers through the thin, clean air. This is the turning of the sky, the moment when Earth became luminous, when darkness gave way to color, and the planet began to dream of life as we know it. Sleep now and let the calm of that first blue sky carry you into quiet, endless light. Take a long, slow breath in and hold it for a moment. Now exhale gently. That breath feels natural, effortless, but there was a time when it would have been deadly. We return now to a world just after the turning of the sky. The air is clear and blue, the sunlight bright and cold. The oceans shimmer like mirrors, reflecting a calm that hides a quiet catastrophe. For billions of years, life had lived without oxygen. It had no need for it, no defense against it. The cells that filled the seas thrived on chemistry older than air. Hydrogen, sulfur, iron, methane. They lived in darkness and warmth and balance. And now the balance is broken. The architects of air, the cyanobacteria, continue their endless work, turning sunlight into oxygen, filling the sky with a gas that most of their neighbors cannot survive. To the old life, oxygen is not a gift. It is a poison. When oxygen meets their fragile chemistry, it burns. It tears apart the delicate reactions that keep them alive. The same spark that powers new evolution also ends entire lineages. It is the planet's first great extinction, not caused by fire or ice, but by breath itself. Imagine the ocean in this moment. At the surface, the water gleams turquoise and gold, but beneath, it turns dark and lifeless. The oxygen dissolves downward, rusting the metals, killing the ancient microbes that once thrived in the shadows. Whole kingdoms vanish, their chemistry outmatched by this invisible enemy. In the deep, methane-producing bacteria die off, and with them, the warm blanket of greenhouse gases collapses. The planet begins to cool further. The glaciers advance, creeping from the poles toward the equator. The seas themselves begin to freeze. It is the first whisper of what will become the greatest ice age the planet has ever known, the snowball Earth. But in this moment, the ocean still breathes between warmth and cold. The upper layers shimmer with the color of change. The lower layers hold the ghosts of what once was. It is a quiet tragedy, a slow, invisible undoing of the old world. And yet, even in this extinction, there is creation. Among the survivors are new kinds of cells, those that have learned to tame oxygen's fire. They discover that this so-called poison can also be a source of unimaginable power. When they let oxygen inside, it unlocks energy 100 times stronger than any chemistry that came before. With that energy, life grows faster, moves more freely, evolves more boldly. This is the dawn of aerobic life, creatures that breathe not to die, but to live. Take another slow breath. What you are breathing now is that same inheritance, the legacy of those survivors. They turned danger into strength, toxicity into transformation. In the shallow seas, they begin to flourish. Some feed on sunlight like their ancestors. Others consume their dead, recycling nutrients through oxygen's new chemistry. The ocean, once suffocating, becomes vibrant again. Different, sharper, alive in new ways. Look closer at one of these microscopic survivors. Its surface glimmers with faint blue light. Inside, tiny chambers hum with movement. Mitochondria, the engines of oxygen-powered life. They are the descendants of ancient bacteria that once lived alone, now living inside larger cells as partners. It is another alliance, another step toward complexity. The first breaths of life have given rise to the first symbiosis of survival. But the transformation is not complete. The air is still volatile, the balance uncertain. Oxygen continues to build, and the world grows colder. Volcanoes exhale carbon dioxide, trying to restore warmth. Rain scrubs it away again. The earth teeters on the edge of ice and light. Imagine walking along a shoreline at dusk. The blue sky above is streaked with thin white clouds, and the air carries a new sharpness. The taste of oxygen. The waves crash softly against the rocks, but there is a chill in the wind that did not exist before. The sun sets, and the horizon glows faintly pink. You can see your reflection in the still water, the same reflection that will one day belong to every creature that breathes. The first poison has become the world's most vital element. It is a paradox only nature could write, that creation and destruction are never truly separate. Each gives rise to the other, each necessary for life to endure. As night falls, the stars shine brighter than ever. The new oxygen-rich air scatters less light, and the heavens open wide. The Milky Way arches over the frozen seas, a silent witness to the planet's rebirth. Down below, the cyanobacteria still glow faintly beneath the surface, their colonies pulsing with light as they continue their work. They do not know what they have done. They do not know that they have killed and saved the world in the same breath. Take one last deep inhale. Feel the coolness of air filling your lungs. A comfort that was once a catastrophe. Every breath you take is a story of survival, a reminder that life adapts not by avoiding danger, but by transforming it. Even now, the earth adjusts to its new rhythm. The ice is creeping, the warmth fading, but beneath the frozen surface, life endures. It changes form, changes chemistry, but never stops moving forward. In the quiet beneath the waves, the planet sleeps through its first great transformation. The poison of one world has become the promise of another. Close your eyes. The air you breathe is a gift written in sacrifice, a balance carved by time and persistence. The ancient earth breathes with you still. Its oxygen, its history, its resilience. Sleep now and dream of the first poison, the breath that burned and healed, the moment the planet learned that even destruction can give birth to life. Take a deep breath in and feel the air cool as it fills your lungs. Now let it out slowly. Imagine that same breath turning to mist in the cold. The warmth that once wrapped the planet is fading, and the world is preparing to enter its longest sleep. It begins quietly. The same oxygen that painted the sky blue has stripped away the gases that once held the heat. The greenhouse blanket of methane is gone, and the sunlight that once glowed warm upon the seas now reflects off their surface and escapes into space. Each year grows a little colder than the last. Snow begins to fall, at first a novelty. It drifts across the peaks of young mountains, melts at midday, then returns the next night. But the cold lingers longer with every passing season. The mountaintops stay white, then the valleys, then the plains. At the poles, ice thickens, pressing outward toward the equator. It grows in silence, a slow, relentless tide of white. The oceans begin to freeze at their edges, locking the waves beneath lids of crystal. The cyanobacteria that float near the surface find their sunlight dimming. Their colonies thin, their breath slows. Still they endure, carrying on their quiet work beneath the ice. From space, the earth glows pale and ghostly, its blues replaced by silver and white. The continents disappear beneath glaciers miles thick. Even the sea, the ancient cradle of life, is frozen over. Only small pockets of liquid remain. Dark oases under the ice, warmed by the heat of hydrothermal vents and the slow breathing of the planet's core. Imagine descending beneath that frozen skin. The water below is black, lit only by the dim glow of mineral plumes. Here, life clings to the vents, surviving in warmth while the surface sleeps. The silence is heavy, but the pulse of the earth continues. The vents whisper softly, their heat a reminder that the planet's heart still beats. This is Snowball Earth, the world in a state of near total ice, a frozen sphere drifting beneath a dim sun. It is both devastating and beautiful. Mountains vanish beneath glaciers, winds sweep across endless fields of snow. The sky is clear and sharp, filled with stars that glitter like frost. At midday, the sun hangs low and pale, casting long shadows across the ice. No sound but the wind, no color but white and blue. And yet, even in this frozen stillness, life endures. Beneath the glaciers, cracks in the ice let light through, soft beams that shimmer faintly in the dark water. Here, near the coasts, cyanobacteria still gather, feeding on what little sunlight remains. Each tiny cell continues the rhythm begun billions of years before absorbing light, releasing oxygen, breathing quietly against the cold. Deep beneath the surface, microbes feed on the chemistry of rock and heat. Some live off hydrogen escaping from the crust. Others cling to iron and sulfur, turning them into energy molecule by molecule. Every vent, every fissure is a refuge, a hidden hearth in the frozen night. Above, the atmosphere continues to change. The oxygen that caused this great freeze is now the planet's most precious element. But the cold cannot last forever. Volcanoes still erupt beneath the ice, belching carbon dioxide into the air. At first, the gas is trapped under the frozen crust. But as centuries pass into millennia, it accumulates, growing thicker and warmer. The Earth is preparing its own rescue. Picture the surface again, vast, still, endless. Then, somewhere, a crack splits the ice. It starts as a whisper, then widens with a roar that echoes across the planet. Beneath the frozen crust, water surges upward, meeting the sunlight for the first time in millions of years. Steam rises, the world exhales, the thaw begins. Slowly the glaciers retreat, melting into roaring rivers that flood the continents. The seas darken again, the ice turning to liquid that reflects the deep blue of the new sky. Volcanoes burst through the remaining sheets of white, their fire painting streaks of red across the horizon. Carbon dioxide fills the air and warmth returns, melting the snow, awakening the seas. For life it is rebirth. The cyanobacteria bloom again in the sunlight. The oceans fill with oxygen and motion. The cold retreat leaves behind new minerals, fresh landscapes, and nutrients washed into the sea. It is as if the planet has reset itself, cleansed by frost, forged anew by heat. But the memory of the cold remains. In the layers of stone, the evidence will never fade. Glacial grooves cut across continents, dusts of carbon trapped in ice, tiny air bubbles that tell the story of a frozen world. They will whisper through time. Even in stillness, life survived. Even in silence, earth endured. Take another deep breath. In cold air, crisp and pure. Out warmth, slow and steady. The same cycles that froze the earth still move through the world today. The rhythm of cooling and warming, of death and renewal. Nothing ends, it only changes shape. When you look at the stars tonight, remember that they once watched a white earth drift in shadow, its surface locked in ice, its life hidden but alive. And from that long winter, a brighter world emerged. Sleep now, and dream of that silent planet beneath its crystal shell, a world frozen but breathing, waiting patiently for the touch of light to wake it once more. Take a deep breath in and imagine the weight of silence. Above you stretches a ceiling of ice, thick, endless, unbroken. Sunlight filters through in soft ribbons, blue, cold. Beneath this frozen world, life endures. This is Earth at its most fragile, and yet somehow it is alive. Everywhere above, the planet sleeps under snow. Mountains are buried. Oceans lie hidden beneath glaciers that reach for the equator. But below, in the dark, in the warmth of the planet's inner breath, the story of survival continues. Imagine descending through a crack in the ice. The world above fades, and a deep stillness takes hold. The temperature rises slowly. Your eyes adjust to the darkness. Then you see them, soft clouds of life drifting near the seafloor, shimmering faintly in the glow of hydrothermal vents. Here, in the shadow of the frozen world, the vents breathe heat and chemistry into the water. They exhale hydrogen, iron, and sulfur, the same ingredients that once gave birth to life itself. Around them, colonies of microbes cluster like tiny constellations. They feed on the minerals, absorbing energy not from the sun, but from the earth's fire. Each vent is an oasis in the cold desert of the deep. The water around them pulses with warmth. Streams of bubbles rise, dancing upward into the dark. If you listen, you can almost hear the whisper of the planet's heart, a low, steady hum of geothermal life. These microbes are the survivors of everything that came before. They have endured the rise of oxygen, the poisoning of methane, the fall of heat, and now the encasement of the world in ice. They ask for a little warmth, a little chemistry, a little time. And time is something they have in abundance. Around them, small communities form, different species sharing heat and nutrients, trading molecules in a dance of mutual survival. It is the same ancient cooperation that began in the shallows, now hidden far below the frozen crust. Here, life learns resilience. It learns patience. Far above, where the ice meets the sea, there are other refuges, thin cracks where light still reaches through. In these faint shafts of light, Cyanobacteria gather once more. They cling to the underside of the ice, forming delicate mats that glow faintly green. Even here, at the edge of darkness, they perform their ancient ritual, turning sunlight into oxygen, turning survival into art. When the ice thickens, the light fades, but the bacteria adapt again. They slow their metabolism, resting between bursts of activity. When the light returns, they wake, breathe, and continue. Each cycle of light and dark, each flicker of energy, keeps the spark of life alive. The earth above them is silent. The air is thin, the sky pale and distant. Snow falls endlessly, muffling every sound. But below the ice, the ocean is alive with whispers. Currents move through the deep, carrying warmth from the vents, nutrients from the crust, oxygen from the frozen surface. It is a hidden circulation, the blood flow of a sleeping planet. Take another slow breath. Picture the stillness of that world, dark, heavy, infinite. Now imagine a tiny pulse of light in the deep, a vent glowing like a candle, surrounded by drifting life. Each flicker of heat sustains thousands of invisible beings, each molecule of sulfur and hydrogen transformed into sustenance. This is how life endures the impossible. Above, the continents lie buried. Volcanoes still rumble beneath the ice, their eruptions muffled, their smoke trapped under the frozen sky. Each one releases carbon dioxide into the air. At first, it changes nothing. But as centuries pass, the gas accumulates, thickening, warming, waiting for its moment. Down below, the oceans begin to change too. Tiny pockets of liquid water beneath the ice expand. Currents grow stronger, mixing oxygen and nutrients through the depths. With every surge of warmth, life spreads farther. The frozen world is preparing for its awakening. But for now, it is night. A long, patient night that lasts millions of years. The planet dreams beneath its white shell, and within that dream, life continues to breathe. It is strange to think that in this age of ice, life is safer than ever before. The ice, though suffocating, protects the ocean from the cold vacuum of space, shields it from radiation, and preserves it from complete loss of heat. It is both prison and protection, the paradox of survival. If you could listen closely, you would hear the soft rhythm of the deep, a slow bubbling of vents, the gentle stirring of current, the faint crackling of ice above. It is the lullaby of persistence, the heartbeat of everything that refused to die. Take one more breath. Inhale the memory of warmth, exhale the weight of silence. The same resilience that carried life through this frozen age still lives in every cell of you. It is written into your DNA, a message from ancestors that never stopped enduring. Eventually, the warmth will return. The air will thicken with carbon dioxide, the ice will melt, and the blue world will awaken again. But until that day, the earth sleeps in peace beneath its blanket of white. Sleep now, too. Let the calm of that frozen ocean hold you. Above you lies eternity in ice. Below, the slow hum of creation never stops. You are safe here, drifting in the deep, surrounded by life that glows in the dark, patient, enduring, waiting for the sun to rise again. Take a deep breath in and imagine warmth returning to a frozen world. The long night is ending. After millions of years beneath its icy shell, the planet stirs. The silence begins to break. It starts far below the surface, in the dark ocean where life has never stopped breathing. Volcanoes, long muffled beneath the glaciers, begin to roar again. Their heat rises through cracks in the crust, melting small pockets of ice. Each eruption releases gas, carbon dioxide, steam, sulfur. Slowly, silently, the air thickens. Above the ice, the sky is pale and thin. But it holds more warmth now. Sunlight filters through, and for the first time in eons, its heat begins to linger. The glaciers tremble, their surface cracking and groaning under the weight of their own thaw. Streams of water form, sliding across the white plains like silver veins. Rivers return to the land. Imagine standing on this awakening earth. The air is cold but gentle. Each breath feels cleaner, lighter. The sound of dripping water fills the air, a rhythm of renewal. You look toward the horizon, and you see the light reflecting off the melting ice, glittering like glass. The first lakes appear, dark pools beneath the sun. They spread, merge, and overflow, carving paths through the ice toward the sea. The glaciers retreat. Mountains remerge, their rocky faces wet with meltwater. The rivers sing once more, and the oceans begin to move freely again. From space, the transformation is breathtaking. The white world fades to blue. The seas widen and deepen. The air, now rich in carbon dioxide, traps more of the sun's warmth. Clouds gather. Rain falls for the first time in ages. The planet exhales steam and color. Beneath the waves, the survivors of the Ice Age awaken. The cyanobacteria bloom again, their green and blue mats spreading across the warming shallows. They drink the sunlight greedily, multiplying in quiet celebration. Once more they release oxygen, their eternal gift, their endless work. The chemistry of the oceans changes with each breath they take. Iron, long buried under layers of ice, mixes with oxygen to form red sediments once again. The water glows with new life, sparkling with energy and motion. The deep vents still breathe heat, feeding those who endured the darkness. Now warmth and light meet again, fire and sun reunited. This is the blue awakening, the rebirth of Earth as we know it. The ice retreats toward the poles. The continents darken with exposed stone. The atmosphere thickens with vapor and clouds, and the sky deepens to a true, brilliant blue. It is the color of oxygen, the color of freedom, the color of a planet alive again. Take a slow breath and picture it. Winds sweep across open seas. Waves crash against new coastlines, carrying minerals from mountain to ocean. The cycle of renewal begins anew, water rising, falling, and rising again. Each motion writes another verse in the song of Earth. The warmth awakens more than water. In the ocean, single-celled organisms begin to grow larger, their bodies more complex. Some form protective shells. Others develop new ways to use oxygen for energy. The extra oxygen in the air feeds their evolution, pushing life to expand in size and strength. What began as recovery soon becomes revolution. It is the calm before a great explosion of diversity, the prelude to the age of animals and plants. But for now, the planet rests in balance. Not too hot, not too cold, bathed in blue light and gentle winds. The glaciers, once titans of silence, now crumble into the sea. They float away as icebergs, slowly melting under the brightening sun. Each drop of meltwater carries the memory of ages past. The chemistry of the ancient world returned to the ocean once more. It is from this mixture that the next chapter of life will rise. The earth hums softly now, its warmth spreading evenly through water and air. Rain falls steadily across continents, washing minerals from the rock into the sea. Iron, phosphorus, carbon. The ocean becomes a cauldron of creation again. If you were to look up now, you would see clouds drifting lazily across the sky, white against the deep blue. The sun's reflection dances across the surface of the waves. At night, the stars shine brighter than ever before, their light unbroken by haze or ice. The world is clear. The air is alive. The cyanobacteria continue their patient work, but they are no longer alone. New lineages of eukaryotes, complex organized cells, emerge and spread. Some form colonies, some begin to specialize. Inside each, mitochondria hum like tiny hearts, burning oxygen, powering the next leap forward. Every heartbeat you feel today is a continuation of that same rhythm, the pulse that began when the ice melted, when the planet remembered how to live in the light. Take one more breath. Inhale the warmth of sunlight, exhale the memory of frost. The blue awakening is not just the return of heat, but the return of possibility. The planet has survived its deepest sleep. It has learned that even ice cannot stop the persistence of life. From fire to water, from haze to blue, the earth has cycled through extremes, each one shaping what comes next. And now, in this age of light, life is ready to grow bold. Close your eyes. Imagine the waves, soft and rhythmic, lapping against the new shores of a thawed world. The air is cool but gentle. The sea glows with reflected sky. You are breathing the same air that rose from those ancient waters, the air that once marked the end of darkness. Sleep now and drift with the rhythm of this reborn planet. Let the warmth of its awakening carry you, for even after all the ice, the earth still knows how to dream in blue. Take one slow, deep breath and let it out. Listen to the air as it leaves you. That quiet rhythm, inhale, exhale, is the same rhythm that has guided Earth for billions of years. The planet itself breathes, and tonight, we rest within that breath. The blue awakening has come and gone. The ice has melted. The oceans sparkle beneath a true sky. The air is clear, filled with oxygen, and the world, after endless ages of fire and frost, is finally balanced. This is a planet at peace. Its continents drift slowly through warm seas, their edges traced by ribbons of green life. The rivers flow quietly to the ocean, carrying whispers of mountains ground to dust. Rain falls softly, feeding the cycle that began so long ago. Water rising, falling, and rising again. Everywhere you look, you can see the memory of what came before. In the red rocks of the desert lies the echo of rusted seas. In the smooth stones of riverbeds sleeps the story of rain and chemistry. And in the air around you, invisible but constant, is the gift of those tiny, tireless architects, the first breath of light still lingering in every molecule. Close your eyes and imagine standing by the ocean's edge. The wind moves gently across your skin. It carries salt, warmth, and the faintest scent of rain. Each wave that breaks upon the shore is older than time itself. The same water that once steamed from volcanoes, that froze beneath ice, that flowed beneath a red sky. Now it glows blue under a golden sun. The earth is breathing evenly again. Each cycle of air and ocean, each pulse of life and decay, keeps the balance alive. The planet has found its rhythm, its song of renewal. But this peace is not stillness. It is motion in harmony. Deep below, the tectonic plates still drift, colliding and separating like the slow movements of a sleeping giant. The core of the planet still turns, its heat rising through cracks and vents. Every breath of wind, every crash of wave, every spark of lightning is part of a single living system. Take another slow breath, in and out. You are breathing the same air that formed in those ancient seas. Every oxygen atom in your lungs was forged by cyanobacteria in a time when no eyes yet watched the sky. Your life is a continuation of theirs, a chain unbroken from the first breath of light. Imagine looking up at the heavens now. The sky is vast and deep, its blue fading into black at the edges of space. The sun shines brighter than it did 3 billion years ago, but the earth knows how to keep its balance. The atmosphere catches just enough warmth, the oceans hold just enough cool. The planet's breath rises and falls in perfect rhythm. This is what balance sounds like, not silence but harmony. The wind through the grass, the murmur of water against stone, the quiet hum of distant thunder. Every sound is a note in the music of a living world. And beneath it all, life continues its work. Microbes still breathe oxygen in the ocean's depths. Plants yet to come will exhale it through their leaves. Animals will learn to draw it into their lungs. The pattern will remain, changing only in form, never in essence. The earth is now a breathing world. Its air in motion, its water in cycle, its life in conversation. It has turned chaos into rhythm, and in that rhythm lies the promise of all things to come. From this quiet balance, the next chapters will rise forests, animals, thought, language, and wonder. But none of it could exist without what came before. Without the patience of stone, the persistence of rain, the faith of a single cell that learned to use light. The story of oxygen is the story of transformation, a reminder that even the smallest breath can reshape a world. The great oxidation did not happen overnight. It was written one molecule at a time, one sunrise after another, over billions of years of stillness, struggle, and renewal. If you listen now, you can still hear that breath moving through everything, in the rust on a stone, in the curl of a leaf, in the whisper of the wind. It is the same ancient exhale that turned red skies blue, that filled oceans with air, that gave the world its voice. Take another deep breath and hold it. You are part of that same story. Your lungs, your blood, your heartbeat are echoes of that first oxygenated world. Every inhale is a remembrance of cyanobacteria, of stromatolites, of the patient, invisible labor that built this atmosphere. Every exhale is your small offering back to that cycle. When you look at the night sky, you see the same stars that once shone on that frozen earth. They watch the glaciers come and go, the air change color, the oceans awaken. They are witnesses to endurance. And they will watch you too, as part of that endless continuum. The world beneath your feet has learned to breathe. And because of that, so have you. Close your eyes one last time. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath, matching the rhythm of the planet. Inhale the air that was once ice and storm. Exhale the air that will one day fill new life. The story is complete, but the breath continues. Sleep now and rest in the calm of a breathing world. The earth dreams beneath you, its oceans moving, its winds turning, its heart glowing softly in the dark. Listen closely, it's still breathing, and so are you.